Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where we grade each episode on a point scale that really means nothing. Today's episode is The Practical Joker, and according to the stardate, it takes place right after Return of the Archons in the first season. In this episode, the crew flies through a cloud that causes the ship to gain consciousness and become a trickster. The first point is lost since they are using Klingon ships for Romulan vessels. They could have animated the original Romulan bird of prey. Scotty gives the first eye -1 point for saying 902. The heading should never be more than 360. And Sulu gives the second and third eyes. And who is that in the background? Scotty wants a fight. Even on a Saturday morning kids show, the Romulan commander is playing Romulan games. Kirk's going to complain to the manager, and he's full of it here. I don't think they have the death penalty. The Enterprise escapes by going through an unidentified energy field. They do this quite a bit in Star Trek. Here's where you learn where George Lucas got his ideas.
Hold together, little darling, hold together.
When they escape from the Romulans through the other side of the cloud, they decide to celebrate. Now we discover the entire crew of the Enterprise has a drinking problem. Dr. McCoy is right on track, but Kirk thinks something different. Kirk discovers he's in the Matrix. The next point is lost for a reflection on the animation plate. Spock falls for the oldest trick in the book. Scotty is attacked by food. I think this is the only time you see Morris and Eric's off the bridge together. And you always need a pie in the face in a Practical Joker episode. Eric's is at the con. Chekhov never got to do that, did he? The next point is lost for one set of doors on the turbolift. Another point lost because Kirk would have seen that before he put the shirt on. Now Kirk thinks Morris is joking. And again, a scene from the animated series is copied, while Kirk poses as Peter Pan.
What the hell is going on? Fog. It just sort of rolled in on us, sir.
Kirk does the animation run. Now they have to worry about falling on ice. Trust me, that's not fun. Spock figured it out. Look quick, Lieutenant Uhura's collar is red instead of black, so -1 point. And why are they going into a computer-controlled rec room when they know the ship's computer is acting a little squirrely? Lieutenant Uhura is not a blonde, and that is a blonde, so -1 more point. This is also the first time in Star Trek history where we see a holodeck. Also, they're at yellow alert and should be at their stations, not in the rec room. And the ship, of course, has cut communications to the rec room as a joke. Shout out to the animators having very detailed sets. McCoy poses like Peter Pan. 300 years in the future, they can have holographic recreation rooms that still run on audio tapes that have to rewind. The next point is lost because this is impossible unless there is a big hole in the rec deck to fall through. Also, they landed on dirt, but now there are leaves on the ground. The computer is really pissing off Kirk and Spock right now. Scotty says the fourth eye. Now come eyes number 5 and 6, and you know what that means.
Ay, 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 ay.
One eye is sufficient acknowledgement, Ensign.
Time for another scene to be stolen by the next generation. Scotty tries to turn the computer off, who cuts the gravity. I think this happened in A Space Odyssey. Scotty says the 7th eye. Will we make it to 10? No, let's just watch him crawl along the roof. Spock believes when they passed through the energy field, they picked up particles of a sentient being that is now wreaking havoc on the Enterprise. Something tells me they're going to do this in another episode several years later. They really like stealing from the animated series, don't they? Lieutenant Uhura has a great idea, but I think the computer is onto her and has a trick up his sleeve. The next point is lost because nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas, does not make people laugh like this. It must be some other type of drug. Spock is laughing in Vulcan. I think this is the only time you see crowbars on the Enterprise. Dr. McCoy rehearses his movie line from Star Trek VI.
You two better go on without me. My old legs have given out.
Leave me. I'm finished. No!
And now the computer just adds one practical joke to another. Old-fashioned crowbars save the day.
Could you turn up the heat?
Looks like the engines have stopped now. Uhura is the first to notice. Shouldn't you be able to see her behind McCoy? the Enterprise computer releases a target balloon ship to confuse the Romulans. This idea was then stolen in the Star Trek book How Much for Just the Planet. This might be the only time you see the ship lettering in red. The Enterprise computer thinks this is the greatest practical joke of all. Kirk tricks the computer by copying Brer Rabbit.
I just want to avoid that energy field we passed through before. Couldn't face going through there again.
Please, Belfast, please don't bring me in death.
This is how you simulate changing course. So the Enterprise computer takes them back into the cloud to scare Kirk. If the computer had watched the movie Song of the South, it would have known this was a trick. But the movie was canceled, and now the computer let itself get tricked because it was denied learning about African American folktales. The Romulans follow them in, but have even more problems.
They've gone to plaid.
Kirk's trick on the practical joker worked, and the entity went back into the cloud. Lieutenant Uhura now reports the Romulans are having the same problems with the trickster, and they're like, should we tell them how to fix it? And they're like, nah, we'll let them figure it out on their own. The Practical Joker, another animated episode that almost everybody copied something from, got a score of 91%. That's all for now, thanks for viewing. Be sure to check my other videos and playlists. Click that like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.